So I have lost track of what the primary focus of these videos are for. One of them, I think the primary focus of these videos was number one, about the narcissistic abuse. It is an epidemic, and the stuff that I experienced was primarily caused by trauma, but the trauma is what caused me to fall into the narcissistic abuse relationships, and I'm losing my place in the story because I'm going on, and that's kind of a characteristic of ADHD. So basically, whoever needs to hear this will hear it. If you are in an abusive relationship, get out. It's not even worth it. And like I said, nowadays, narcissists or narcissism, whatever, is common. When I was going through my marriage that just ended in 23, the years that I was experiencing that, it wasn't her. There was no name. There was no name for it, but now it's very common. I remember going to therapists, or I mean, not even therapy, therapists, and I remember talking to relatives, and I was telling them what I was going through. Well, from their eyes, I was in a happy marriage. They, thought the world of my ex-husband. And I would tell them, the stuff that I was going through, but to them, I was just a complainer. But when you're experiencing narcissistic abuse, you develop all kinds of, you can develop all kinds of autoimmune conditions. I have several that I'm being treated for. Thank God that is nothing that's life that's going to endanger my life, but trauma causes you to develop autoimmune conditions. Basically, if you're in an abusive relationship, narcissist or not, you need to get out of it. It's not worth it. I spent 30 some years in a marriage that God was trying to get me out of. He was trying to get me out of it. But because I was so religious minded, I just could not accept the fact that I was going to end up divorced. And there was no need to blame God because he was trying to get me out of it. And the other lesson in this is, if God is telling you to do something and you're not being obedient, then sometimes he will force you out. And that, honestly, I think that's why I got fired from the VA. Because I still believe that he put me at the VA for a purpose. For a purpose. I am in a narcissistic abuse program. And honestly, I purchased this program years ago. I mean, years ago, probably 5 years ago. But I'm just now getting into it took me going through this situation to, cause it's an epidemic, and people, thank goodness I didn't go through the physical abuse. I went through everything except physical abuse. So I believe the amnesia part is over, and I could be wrong because I thought a couple of times that it was over, but then next thing I know, I'm remembering stuff. But I kind of believe that the amnesia part is over. But one thing that just happened on the 7th, can't remember what today is, But I had noted, I think when I was typing it out, that I didn't have a clear picture of our former home. And excuse me, I had some. And on the 7th, that day, last week I think it was, God brought that back to my remembrance. I can actually see my house and the inside, because before it was just a blur. And another thing about the narcissistic abuse, and that Lord knows I have um, studied because I was curious. I wanted to understand what happened to me, how, and it's significant. Narcissistic abuse actually changes the anatomy of your brain. So I'm going to end this now, and like I said, I just believe that whoever needs to see my story, that they will come upon it, because there are a lot more people out there now. Dissociative amnesia is not common. It's very uncommon. It's very uncommon. But the narcissistic abuse is very common, and their trauma, and we all experience trauma, but we have to learn how to, we have to develop healthy coping mechanisms, so that we don't end up in a situation like I have been. And it's amazing that it took me all these years to get here. However, it's going to be I believe he's going to make it worth every second that I have suffered, because he's just that kind of God. Be blessed.